Nope.
Alright you guys, I'm Jason Reptiles, and today is a video I'm very excited for. This is something I've wanted to do for a while, but I've put it off until I found the right way to do it. Now, this is a species of animal that I wanted to breed that a lot of people said I should. And, you know, if you know anything, if you know my channel, you know I love animals, I love working with reptiles, but I am doing it for the money. If there was a different way to work with animals that makes more money, that's probably what I'd be doing. My two passions, working with animals, making money, doing my own thing. So you would not be surprised to find out that this new project, and probably my last real animal project, is ball pythons. So I have leopards, cresteds, gargoyles, isopods, corn snakes, and ball pythons. So that's 7 now. 7. Of course I have my beauty snakes, I have other stuff. But yeah, let's jump right into it. So this is something I mentioned in a previous video. This is something I've wanted to do for a while. So this is going to be a series, and I'm going to document everything I do and every dollar I spend. And if I sell a $500 leopard gecko, I'm not going to take that $500 and buy a nice ball python. The ball pythons are going to be their own separate thing just for video's sake. So I'm going to open a spreadsheet, and you might see it on screen, you might not. I don't know how lazy I'm a pretty lazy editor, I'm being honest. But I'm going to open a spreadsheet and I'm going to document literally every time I spend money. It's not going to be perfect. You know, if I plug it into a thermostat, I'm not going to say, oh well, I bought, you know, a Herpstat 4 and my ball python rack is plugged into one of those. So I'm not going to say it's $400. I'm going to, I don't know, divide it by 4 or something, whatever. But the reason this was the perfect timing is I had a friend get a free snake, and we weren't sure if it was a male or female. We tried popping it, we still weren't sure. It kind of looked male. And then I took it home anyway. So I bought it off of him for 60 bucks. He's a real good friend. And we ended up probing it, me and my other friend, and we're fairly confident it's a female. So $60 for this almost 1,300 gram female. She is underweight. He got it for free a couple weeks ago from someone who wasn't taking care of it. So it's underweight, it's in shed, it's soaking in the bowl right now. And it does a spider Mojave. Now, spider is a gene I don't really want to work with, obviously. I don't have any Enigma leopard geckos, I don't have any of that. Spider is a gene I will stay away from. I'm not going to keep any of the babies that are spider. I'm going to sell them all, of course, letting people know about the spider gene. This particular animal doesn't have a lot of wobble, but it's kind of, you know, I'm doing this series for you guys. If you have a spider Mojave pop up for $60, an adult female, you're not going to pass it up. Neither was I. So when you have these really great deals, now $60 is, no one's going to find that. I got a really good deal. I'm really ingrained in the reptile community. I have a lot of friends. You know, I treat people right. I sell animals the right way. And, you know, after doing that for a long time, I know a lot of people and people like me. So I get better deals than a lot of people. I know who's got what. I know when they're hatching. I know all this stuff. But I'm going to pretend like I'm just like you guys. You're on Facebook. You're seeing a couple adult snakes, an unsexed snake. So the first things that are going to go on this document is this snake. So like I was saying, I want it to be just like you guys would find on Facebook. You find a good deal on a snake, you know. So really, if you're getting into ball pythons, the goal here is to make $1 million. I didn't say that. It's probably in the title. The goal here is to make $1 million. This series will end when I sell enough ball pythons to take $1 million in personal revenue. And I'll talk more about that later. But the main, so you're on Facebook and you're looking at snakes, and a lot of people selling kind of snakes for cheaper, whatever. They're not going to know what sex they are, or they might be wrong. Majority of the times, you don't want to buy a female without checking. That's how you get screwed over. Because I mean, females are valued as more. And now, I'm going everywhere because there's a lot of things to say. I don't know that much about ball pythons. I know a lot about snakes and my geckos and stuff, and you know, I'm around a lot of ball python breeders. Um, but the first thing you want on your Google Docs document is your probe kit. My local reptile store has them for 15 something, so 16 bucks. First thing on the list, $16. You're gonna want that. I recommend Neosporin or something to lube it up. That's just, you know, what I've heard. I don't have that, I didn't buy that, so it's not going on my list. Now, next up, my $60 snake, right? Which I'll show you in just a second. So, I don't have a pen, I'm not writing it down. The Google Doc, something, it'll be added up somewhere, you'll see it. So, $15 probe kit, $60 snake, a small rat. I work at a rat company, I get them for $2.25. I don't know what you get them for. Obviously, I have an advantage there. The tub, I think it's like a $12 tub. I'm not going to include the drill for the holes. Just borrow one from your dad or a neighbor. The water dish, $1 at Dollar Tree. The hide, $1 at Dollar Tree. I cut it with a razor blade. I'm not going to include the razor blade. And the bedding, I used a little bit of a bag of bedding. So that's really where we're at. Now, I don't have a thermostat and I don't have a heat pad on this yet. I am going to pick those up today and throw them on. Well, I actually have a thermostat coming, so I'm going to pick up a heat mat, but it's just not going to have heat for a couple days. And that's going to trigger a lot of people. I really don't care. The steak will be fine. I have it next to a rack that's heated anyway at 90 degrees. So I have this snake. I also have my male normal up there. That would make spiders and Mojaves and spider Mojaves and normals. I also have my friend who's got a clown het pied, who we're probably going to breed her to instead and make some spiders, Mojaves, spider Mojaves, and normals that are all het clown, pos het pied. Now the only problem with that is I'd have to give them half the babies. I'll probably end up keeping a Mojave or two if there's females. If there's any female Mojaves, I'm keeping them. And you know, I'm going to keep looking out for better females. Now, like I said, all the money I make, you know, if I make these first babies and I sell them and I make $300, I'm going to spend it on the snakes. I'm going to spend it on the ball pythons. And we're going to keep track of all the money I make and all the money I spend. And, you know, it's going to take a while to get into the green. We're going to be in the red for a while, or we'll go up a little bit and we'll take a step back because we'll need to buy a rack, or we'll need to buy a bunch of feeders, or something like that will come up. But eventually we'll end up in the green, and it'll really, really, really eventually we'll make a lot of money, you know? So end goal is not to be like, oh, well, I sold $1 million worth of snakes. Now, half of that went back into feeders, a bunch of it's in racks, yada, yada, yada. Now, we're not including my time, but the end goal is to have a bunch of really expensive snakes and, you know, for 3 or 4 years straight, sell them and not need to buy anything, or maybe to buy a couple snakes but still keep a lot of that revenue for myself and have my take home be $1 million. Now, I know that's crazy, but it's doable. It really is doable. It's going to take a lot of time. And the number one key I can tell everyone out there, because I do run my own reptile business, you know, I do invest in stocks, I do all this other stuff. The number one thing I can tell you is you're not going to want to take any money out. That will ruin your entire project. If you put everything back in and forget about it, you have to pretend it's not there. You can't be like, oh, well, my car broke down, let me just sell, you know, a $500 snake and get it fixed. No, if your car breaks down, you go into your personal savings account and you fix your car. If you dip into the snake money for that, you'll just be behind. You'll be behind and you won't make $1 million, and that's how you lose the game. Now, if I was doing this differently, I would most definitely have waited a year, sold a bunch of geckos, you know, paid off a little bit of my debts, but then went back into debt and buy a couple really high-end ball pythons, you know, $1,000 snakes, and bred those. And I would have used the money from those snakes to pay back the initial debt, put it in the stocks, make a bunch more money. But that's not what we're doing here. I can make a bunch of money. I can do things smart with my other animals. I can do my other investments smart. The ball pythons are just for you guys. It's just for the video series, and we're gonna make $1 million on this video series. I have no plans to stop this video series till we make $1 million with it. So we're gonna keep track. The Google Doc will be either on screen, or the amount that we're already in debt will be on screen. And like I said, this this series will happen once a week until we hit $1 million, and I'll let you know what I bought throughout the week. We'll take a look at everything that's happening. So it'll probably start off really slow, and it'll eventually kick into gear. Maybe I'll pick up another sub-adult female or something at a show, and put myself $300 into debt for the snake project. But then we produce, so I pay it off, but then we buy feeders, and it'll go back and forth for a while until we really get the ball rolling. And the key is going to be, and I keep saying the key is this or the key is that, there's a lot of things you really want to pay attention to, but the key is to use your money wisely and to use it all. You don't want to sell a snake for $2,000 and be like, oh, well, let me set that aside, and if I do that enough times, I'll have my $1 million. No, you want to take that money, buy a nicer snake, and sell its babies for $5 grand, and take that $5 grand, buy a nicer snake, sell the babies for 10 grand. And that way, you're not sitting around, selling, I don't know, what is it, 500 snakes for $2,000 each. Then you're selling 100 snakes for $10,000 each, or 50 snakes for $20,000 each. It just gets easier if it compounds. But people don't understand is compound interest. You put the money back in, you can really, really make a difference. Let's look at my snake. So, you guys know Steve. I'm not even going to show Steve in this video, because I don't know if I'm going to breed him. But this snake, like I said, she is underweight. She is in shed. I'm going to pick you guys up, and we'll take a look. So this is a in shed 1,300 gram spider Mojave, and she's just living life. So this is her basic setup for now. Obviously, we need to make some money before I can buy a rack system. So everything will go into tubs, because I can buy tubs and heat mats for fairly cheap. And when we only have a couple of snakes, it's not a big deal. There are going to be certain things I want to do that are really going to, these are tips and tricks I've been learning as I've been talking to my friends who breed ball pythons, to really make sure the snakes eat well and make sure they're comfortable. Now, a comfortable snake will eat well. One thing we're going to do that's going to really, really, really upset a lot of people is we're going to feed the snakes often. Maybe not as often as I should, and you'll be confused by that. But some of my friends have this method where they feed. If you do certain things to the enclosure that make the snake really comfortable, you can feed the snake every other day. And what this does is it gets an adult snake and a female snake up to adult size in under a year. And it's extremely, 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 not welcome in the community. And we're probably not going to go that crazy, but we are going to quote unquote power feed these animals. It is a business. We're here to make $1 million, and we're going to do that. Now, I'm going to take good care of all my snakes. Obviously, if I thought it was such a terrible thing, I wouldn't do it, but we're going to do it. So a couple things we want to do is we want to eventually black out the enclosures. We might not do this while they're in tubs, but if we get a rack system, we'll get dark tubs. One thing I was advised is getting either a piece of steel or something and putting it on the hide and making it so the snake can't lift the hide very easily is supposed to make the snake really comfortable. So that's something we'll end up doing. But I'm James from Reptiles. This is how to make $1 million breeding ball pythons, or the road to $1 million breeding ball pythons. I'm not sure what it's called yet, but you'll see me every Thursday. We'll be talking about it. This is episode 1, and I can't wait for this series to literally make me $1 million. Anyway, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. All that definitely helps out the channel. If you have any questions, hit me up on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, jamesreptiles@gmail.com if you have any questions. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.